Hey guys, recently for Christmas I made this Italian potato gratin as a side dish, but because Christmas is so crazy in our house, I'm going to show you how to make this ahead of time. It's actually not an Italian dish at all. I just say Italian potato gratin because it's got gorgeous Italian flavours like pancetta, thyme and parmesan. You're going to want to start by peeling about 900 grams of potatoes and then slice them up pretty thin. I'm using this slicing attachment of this food processor, but you can do this by hand as well if you like. It'll take longer. If you use a slicer attachment of a food processor, you're guaranteed that they'll all be the same thickness and it's just going to make things so much easier for you. Now to parboil these potatoes, you add about a teaspoon of salt to some simmering water, bring it up to the boil before you add your potatoes. You don't want to add too much salt here because you're going to be adding pancetta and parmesan later, so it might be too salty. You then let that boil away for about 2 minutes before you take it off the heat, strain it and lay them out on some clean tea towels to dry. Next, the recipe calls for 110 grams of pancetta or smoky bacon, which was the exact weight of the packet I bought in the supermarket, which I think was a little Christmas miracle. I fried this in a dry pan until it was nice and crispy and then I took it off the heat. It will have another hour in the oven to cook, but it won't crisp up in the oven because there'll be too much cream and potatoes, which will generate steam, so now is the time to get it really crispy. To assemble, you're going to want to grease an oven-proof dish before adding a third of the potatoes to it. Then pour over a third of the cream. You're going to need 350 milliliters in total, so that's about 116 milliliters now. Next, scatter over a third of your crispy pancetta, followed by a grating of parmesan. The recipe calls for 110 grams and you're supposed to put a third of it over this now, but I can't say that I weighed it, I just eyeballed it. Now scatter over a third of your thyme leaves. The recipe requires a tablespoon, so a third of a tablespoon. Give or take, it's up to you. Now repeat this all again by adding another third of the potatoes, followed by another third of the cream, then another third of the thyme, another third of the pancetta, and another third of the parmesan. Here I'm going to add about a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. Now just add the final layer of potatoes, cream, thyme, pancetta and parmesan. If you're making this right away, you can roast for an hour at 180 degrees Celsius, but if you're making this in advance, you can now just tent it in foil, wrap it up really nice and tight, and keep it in the freezer for up to a month before take it out, letting it thaw overnight and roast at 180 degrees Celsius for about an hour. When you're ready to roast, set your gratin dish in another roasting dish and fill that with hot water so that the gratin dish comes about halfway up with hot water. Then roast just like before at 180 degrees Celsius for about an hour or until everything is really soft with the skewer and it's so good. Thanks a million for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and find me on social media. All the links are below. And for the full recipe, check out my blog www.rookiecook.org.